Hey guys, it is the Acorn Avenger, and if you are a Kamen Rider fan, which most of my subscribers are, then you probably know about this, the Kamen Rider Zangetsu Gaim Gaiden stage show. Oh yeah, and I thought I ordered the version without the ride watch. I was wrong. I did. Still wasn't worth $100 though, for sure. And while I'm sure you guys have heard about this play, I can guarantee you do not know very much about it. I mean, really, it's a pretty weird thing when you start to think about it. There hasn't been a Gaim movie in, what, 5 years? And Takatora was one of the first characters to star in a Gaim Gaiden. So what's this about? Takatora is obviously a very, very popular character. So I'll admit it does make some sense to kind of backtrack and give Takatora another movie. Only if they plan on doing more with the Gaim franchise. Gaim is easily my favorite Rider series. Best characters, best plot, and the movies, they were kind of a mixed bag. We got some pretty good ones, but we got some pretty bad ones as well. But again, this was 5 years ago. Why would they decide to do this now? If they wanted to just sell the ride watch, they could have just sold the ride watch. They didn't have to make a play to coincide with its release. This is actually the first ride watch I've ever actually held. So it's... Oh, I broke it. Are they supposed to do that? Yeah, I think I actually broke it. Alright, I'm just gonna try to fix that later. So you might be thinking, yeah, the release itself was a weird decision, but is the play actually good? Because that is what this review is about, the play itself, so let's get right into it. Our primary character is Kamen Rider Zangetsu, Takatora himself. I'll admit, it is really cool to see Yuki Kubota playing this role for the first time in 5 years. Like I said earlier, Gaim has great characters, and Takatora is no exception. So it's pretty sad that in this play he's kind of just a boring piece of shit. Don't get me wrong, Yuki Kubota plays this role just as well as he did 5 years ago. Here's the problem. When your character has been through 47 episodes and however many movies, I'll just put the number up there, I can't remember off the top of my head. There's just no other place to take this character. So in the first 10 minutes of the play, Takatora falls, bumps his head, and gets amnesia. That's right, folks, since there is literally nowhere to take this character, we just have him forget all the shit he's been through, and have him do it again. Not to mention, he doesn't actually transform into Kamen Rider Zangetsu until maybe like 20 minutes until the play is over. Until then, Kamen Rider Zangetsu is portrayed by this character, whose name I cannot remember. Masahito? Masahito? That sounds right. There's no subtitles included on this, and there are no fan groups who have subbed it, which is pretty disappointing, I'll admit. So I'm kind of just having to infer and kind of connect the dots between the words I kind of understand and what I'm clearly seeing in front of me. So he's this character that Takatora has just supposedly known for years. Let me try to make an analogy. In The Amazing Spider-Man 2, what an amazing film that was. Harry Osborn is just introduced in the middle of the movie, and we're supposed to just believe that he and Peter have been friends for like their entire lives. And that is exactly what we're seeing here. And then we have the Proto-Armored Riders. At first I was actually really excited about this concept, because obviously the term Proto means that they would have had to exist before our current set of Armored Riders, so I thought this was going to be really interesting. However, it is just an excuse to give them a black and gray repaint to differentiate from the original Armored Riders. So first we have Aim, and Aim is pretty much just Kota, but a little louder and a little more dramatic. I'll be honest, I'm not really sure what he's blabbing about most of the time. Next we have Glacia, Proto-Baron, and I seriously think to prepare for this role, the director just sat this actor down and had him watch a couple episodes of Kamen Rider Gaim. And every time Kaito popped up on screen, he just said, "Now your job is to act exactly like that dude." Seriously, the writing and the script for this is just so lazy. All of the Proto-Armored Riders have the exact same personalities of their regular Armored Rider counterparts. The only one who kind of strays from this path is Force, Kamen Rider Proto-Gridon. He's kind of this forced mix of both Jonochi and Hase. It is so weird. On one hand, he is this smart and tactical guy, and on the other hand, he's, well, a loud screaming idiot. Not to mention he goes through literally like the same experience that Hase goes through, except through completely different means that make no sense, but we will get into that later. Next on the list is Kamen Rider Proto Bravo, whose name is here because I don't care to learn it, and he is literally exactly like Bravo, just Just crank up the weird and crank down the awesome. He's very, very, very hyper. I guess hypersexual, it would be a better word to describe him than just hyper. Like, if you thought Oren was horny for Takatora, you need to see this dude. And last we have Proto-Ryugen, whose name is here, because who gives a fuck anymore? We don't really know what his motivation is, or what his backstory is, but I mean, he's here. There's a part of the play where he takes advantage of Takatora's amnesia and tells Takatora that he's Mitsuzane, Kamen Rider Ryugen, who was Takatora's brother. And in Takatora's condition, it would make sense to believe him, so he does. Unfortunately, 10 minutes later, he just tells them he's not really Mitsuzane, and they kind of throw that away. Not to mention, this dude literally shoots himself and gets shot in the chest and just walks away from it. He's fine. So, to be completely truthful with you, I could not really tell you what the plot of the movie is. Zangetsu falls down a hole. Zangetsu meets the Proto-Armored Riders. Zangetsu yells at the Proto-Armored Riders. Kota talks to Zangetsu through Aim's body. Okay. And gives Takatora the melon Kachidoki lock seed? I guess it is. It's not made very clear. And lastly, Takatora kills Masahito and presumably leaves the underground city that he fell into. As far as the subplot goes, the Armored Riders fight, Forest turns into an Invis. Despite there not being any Helheim fruits in this underground city, it's supposed to be assumed that the longer you use a Sengoku driver and a lock seed, that eventually you just turn into an Invis, which makes absolutely no sense, because I'm assuming we're going by the rules of the show here, and by the rules of the show, that just don't add up. After that, Glacia goes to Masahito's place, and they kind of fight, kind of talk, and then they just walk away from each other. All of the characters in this play just act very bizarre. And then he comes back and talks to Aim, and they just fight because they like to fight. So they fight for a little bit, and then Aim kills Glacia, and then Glacia's last words are the same as Kaito's last words. And when I first watched it, I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool little throwback, I guess. But the more I think about it, the more it's just kind of lazy. I don't know. Alright, so let's look at this from a theatrical fan's perspective, which I am definitely not. Was this an entertaining play? That would be an easy hell no. The costumes are okay, although they're a little bit bland and get washed into the background. They're very flat. There aren't really any backdrops or like furniture or like big props used in this. They're not changing backgrounds for every scene. It is literally just everything takes place in the same area and it looks the same all the time. I mean, it's pretty obvious to know when scenes change because different characters will be on the screen and, you know, the plot will be progressing, but it is so uninteresting to look at. It actually gets to the point where it makes it hard to watch. This is a 2-hour play, and I'd say, like, the middle hour, I just couldn't wait to be done with the movie and complain about it. I understand most plays are pretty lengthy, obviously, but when there's hardly anything interesting happening, it makes the play feel longer than it is, and that goes for anything. That goes for a movie, a song, just whatever. This play is just not very good. Like I said earlier, I don't really know why it exists. It's kind of just a waste of time, and that's really heartbreaking to say. Gaim is a series that is very close to my heart. I have a lot of nostalgia for it, a lot of very fond memories with the series, and this just doesn't feel like it at all. Really, this play is just disappointing in every aspect. What's funny though is that I think just a few rewrites would make this play go from mediocre at best to something really unique and something that's still relevant into the story. It would have been so easy to say that the underground city is completely fabricated, just completely made by Yggdrasil to sort of formulate and predict how they would take over Zoame City. That would make sense as to why, you know, kids have belts and lock seeds. It would have been perfect and such an easy rewrite. And because it would have to do with Yggdrasil, it would tie back to Takatora as well and add on to his guilt for basically having the goal at one time to bring humanity's population down by an extensive amount. I wanted this review to be a lot better, a lot more in-depth, a lot more informal, but it's just not a very good play. I do think a group needs to sub this just so more Kamen Rider fans can watch it and so I can have a better understanding of it. But as of now, the only way to really watch it in its entirety is just to spend $100 on a DVD. Really, I like to think I just did the best I could do with the little material that I had. I really did not want this to be such a negative review, but I really only got any enjoyment from this when it reminded me of Gaim, when it called back to the original series and just brought back my nostalgia for it. And I do believe it is worth one watch. Definitely go try to find it online. Do not spend a bunch of money on a DVD. If you really want the ride watch, which I still have not fixed yet apparently, never mind, there we go. Definitely just buy it separately. If this would have been packaged with a green Kachidoki lock seed, this purchase would have been really a lot more justified, but I'll just have to buy an extra one and do the best paint job I can, I guess. Well, I guess that's going to be it for today's review. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys at the next video.